أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. I seek refuge in Allah from shaitan the accursed, and I begin in the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. My name is Umar Abdullah. I'm the head of the Waajihatul Islaamiyyah, the Islamic Front, and I'm here to speak with you again about a very sensitive issue that has been plaguing us for quite some time, and not enough has been said about it. And I'm going to try my best to see, in my capacity, how best I can treat with the matter tonight. First off, oftentimes when news have been brought to us, news items, we start, sharing the information immediately, almost immediately, and in no time at all, it's on every social media. It's on every news outlet in the country. We start hearing about it over the radio, television, and so on. It's as though everyone is just fighting to get the news out there first, without even doing any proper investigation or asking the proper questions and so on and so forth to get at the bottom of the what is the real issue. Allah says in the Quran, where He's talking to the believers, "O you who believe, if a rebellious evil person comes to you with a news, verify it, lest you harm people in ignorance, and afterwards you become regretful to what you have done." Keeping this in mind, I went out and tried to get to the bottom of this particular issue as it relates to the shooting death of Allan Mohammed yesterday. Because a lot of people were saying a lot of things. There were conflicting reports, police saying one thing, eyewitnesses saying something else. There was a riot in the village of Enterprise. A lot of people came out and condemned the actions of the police, etc., etc. Now, when these things happen, and there are two sides to the story, you have to go and investigate to find out exactly what took place. Because perhaps the people might be wrong. Perhaps the police might be wrong. So we made the attempt to go out and to find out exactly what took place. Now, there was a release that was sent out by the police, and in quite recent times we've seen where police have continued to send out releases as it relates to their arrest and seizure of illicit items and so on. So I'll read from the report, from this press release, what they sent out. And it begins by saying, "One man is dead and a firearm seized following a police-involved shooting in the Chaguanas district today. Officers on mobile patrol in the Circular Drive Enterprise area around 10 a.m. on Thursday, 7th February 2019, when they had cause to stop a speeding black Tucson vehicle with a lone male occupant. On approaching the vehicle, the driver pointed a submachine gun in the direction of officers. Officers responded in accordance with the use of force policy, with the suspect sustaining gunshot wounds. He was taken to the Chaguanas Health Facility, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. The deceased was later identified as 24-year-old Allan Mohammed of Circular Drive Enterprise, Chaguanas. One Mark 11 submachine gun, outfitted with a fully loaded magazine, was seized from the vehicle. Chaguanas Police are continuing investigation." Very nicely put together, very carefully worded. But on arrival at the Enterprise this morning and speaking to some of the villagers and eyewitnesses of what took place yesterday, we are getting a totally different account of what took place. And it is not consistent with what the police is saying here. So let me just, bring the facts as it is to you all, and let's see how we can analyze this and form our conclusions. Now, we were told that Allan Mohammed left home to run a couple errands. Matter of fact, he went to drop off a battery at an establishment. And after dropping off that battery, either on his way back home or to run another errand, that's a circular drive, so he was making the rounds to go back. And along that road, the Crown Trace Road, coming out of another side street, police vehicle, perhaps that was observing him, proceeded to follow and indicating to him to stop the vehicle. So he put his left indicator on and pulled to the side of the street, adjacent to an empty plot of land, where there was an old relic, a car, in that particular parcel of land. If you go into the Crown Trace area, you'll see not too far inside on the left, there's this empty lot with this old relic resting on the land. So he allowed the police vehicle to come abreast to him on the side of his vehicle, and a conversation had ensued. However, too long after, police came from the back and shot at Allan Mohammed. He got shot in his waist. There were two gunshot wounds to his chest, the middle of his chest, and two gunshot wounds at his back, on his back. So that's 5 gunshots in all. The autopsy indicated that different weapons were used. So the one at the side of his waist, one weapon was used for that. That was using a larger size ammunition, because the hole was much larger at the side of his waist. At least that is what the autopsy said. The other 2 gunshots to the front of his chest when he turned, and that was from a smaller type ammunition. And he was taken and thrown into the police vehicle after that. And when he was thrown into the police vehicle, he was shot twice on his back. Obviously, en route to the health facility, or upon arrival at the health facility, he was pronounced dead on arrival. So immediately, that story starts to raise some red flags, because it is inconsistent with, it's not consistent with what the police is saying in their release. Question is, how could a man be shot on the side of his waist area if he pointed to police officers in another vehicle and they shot back at him from that vehicle? It's highly unlikely. I'm still trying to understand the physics, how that actually took place. I could understand when he turned, he was shot the front of his chest, but I can't yet understand how he was shot at the back if he was in the vehicle. Police will have to answer those questions. Seriously, they will have to answer those questions. This action of the police was at the hands of this Sergeant Jordan, whom for a number of years have provoked this community and the community of Londonville. A number of killings in this area was attributed to him and his men. All right, and I'm going to call them accomplices from now on, because from what we were told upon investigating this matter, we have come to no other conclusion but this young man was murdered in cold blood. Obviously, one would ask, how did we arrive at that? Well, at the end of this discourse, you will decide for yourself. Now, immediately when he was shot and taken away, other police officers came on the scene not too long after, and this team of officers that actually shot Allan Mohammed left the scene and went about their business. My question is this, proper police procedure? The team of officers that actually did the act is no longer on the scene. So there are other officers who were not there, who never saw anything what happened. They are now conducting whatever investigations, whatever they're doing. They are now doing whatever they're doing on the scene. All right, and that vehicle stood there on the side of the road for a little more than 2 hours, and then it was removed from there. In plain view of persons who were there, the left side indicator of that vehicle was on. So my question is, if it is that someone wants to engage the police in a shootout, why would he put his left indicator on and pull to the side of the road and allow the police officers to come abreast him and have a conversation with the officers? It doesn't make sense to me at all. The police officers also has to answer to this question. He had something of value with him, and they need to account for that item of value. They need to account for that. I'm not going to say what it was, but the police officers, they know what it was, and they're going to have to give an account for that. All right? Because nowhere in the reports ever indicated that this item of value was in the possession of this individual, and we're questioning now as to where that item is at this point in time, in whose possession it is in. Having spoken to the individuals or persons who eyewitness to this incident, they all are in agreement with one thing, and that is no gun was pointed at the police officers. All right? People who are swearing and saying that Muhammad would never do such a thing. He might be capable of doing other things, like answering back to police and giving them a bit of talk and that kind of thing, but not to the extent of what they say. And further to that gun, which is Mark 11 submachine gun, there's no way that he could ever own something like that. As a matter of fact, I think Ian Allen might be best able to help us with that, because a picture of that weapon was also accompanied this press release. I'm sure everyone saw the weapon by now. I'm asking Ian Allen to help us in identifying that weapon, because I think he knows who is the owner of that weapon, or who was the owner of that weapon. A very good friend of his. The person was a very good friend of his. That person is now deceased. He was murdered. All right. So, Ian Allen, I'm asking you to to help us identify that weapon and to tell us who is the actual owner of that weapon and how it came into the possession of the TTPS and how it came in the possession of the young man who was in that vehicle. And don't for once think that I'm asking that question and I don't know the answer to it. Don't for once think that I don't have the evidence to back up my statement. I'm giving you the opportunity to come clean and tell us. Since you are so versed in your crime fighting skills and you seem to know everything, we're asking you, because you indicated that the young man had a lot of gold and so on. I don't know since when in this country, any individual in this country, our rights to own anything in this country has been forfeited. The last time I checked, I think everyone could freely own gold, and have in their possession legal items to conduct business, etc., etc. Allan Mohammed, he has cattle, he has goats, he has sheep, ducks, and so on. He's a businessman. He has a mini mart, that sort of thing. So I don't know since when in this country anybody has lost the right to own anything. So, being in possession of these things it does not add value to your case, right? It perhaps would add value to your ego and your agenda, but not to your case. Anyways, so that is how that incident took place, and so the question now arises about something else, and there's a question about the $2 million which was allegedly paid to this particular officer, Sergeant Jordan, and was subsequently divided amongst 30 officers. They were paid this money by one individual, again, well-known individual, known to Ian Allen again. So I guess Ian Allen can help us out with this other item of questioning, this other line of questioning. Who was the person that actually, it is alleged, who allegedly paid Sergeant Jordan the sum of money to kill these individuals? All right. Now, if you could recall, some time back I made mention of a hit list existing, and this was way back during the time when I had that campaign in Enterprise, Be Better, Not Bitter. If you could remember, when we were on the streets, giving out the flowers, and the water, snacks to the children, and so on. I was alerted, that was brought to my attention by a citizen of the United States of America who had, given me that information that there was indeed a hit list out, and there were names on that list marked for that. Those individuals were marked for that, and this information was actually handed to ex-police officer with the TTPS, now residing in the United States, and he was given this information. This memo was given to him, which would appear as though that people who were police officers, ex-police officers who was with the TTPS, is now part of some elaborate hit squad within the police service, because as the memo said, kill on sight whenever you see these individuals. So all these names that those young people who you see falling to their deaths, their names were on that list, and I have some of those names was given to me. So The question is, what is really happening here? Is Gary Griffith aware of what is taking place? And I'm calling on the Commissioner, Gary Griffith, to take a serious look into the actions of these police officers and the methods by which the Chaguanas Police Station is being run. Because these officers, all due respect to Commissioner Gary Griffith, and don't get me wrong, Commissioner Gary Griffith is doing an extraordinary job. He has really taken the fight to the criminals, and but I think he's overlooking the one of the more important aspects of his crime-fighting initiative, which is to weed out the rogue police officers within the police service. And I don't think he's paying particular attention to that at this point in time, which I think he should, because rogue officers are tied into the criminals. And if you don't get rid of the both of them, you're going to have a serious problem on your hand. You get rid of the criminals and you still have rogue police officers, they're going to continue the trade. They're going to continue that crime trade, right? Undiscovered, unabated, and they're going to seek and find new ways to rope people in to commit these crimes and on behalf of them and so on. So I think it is very important that Commissioner Gary Griffith needs to address that area of weeding out the rogue elements within the police service, because what they're actually doing, they're embarrassing you and they're shaming you. You're too much of an intelligent individual to allow persons like this to continue to occupy positions within the police service, because these police officers, they do not have the character, they do not have the maturity, and they are indisciplined. They have no discipline. Case in point, when we were at the funeral today of the young man, someone of the friend of the deceased parked his bike. Perhaps it was in the wrong place, or he didn't park it properly, and this police officer literally kicked down his bike in the drain. Now this item costs money. It costs money to maintain this item, this motorbike, right? These things don't come cheap. And you deliberately kick down the vehicle in a drain. So if it is that you were strong enough, when you see parked vehicles parked in the wrong spot, you would probably perhaps take those vehicles and throw it in the drain as well. I'm just asking. This is the indiscipline, and this is the type of character that these policemen proudly wears the uniform of the TTPS. This is the character of these men. So what I'm saying is that also the Commissioner Gary Griffith needs to revisit that policy of one shot, one kill, because we are beginning to realize and we're beginning to see that that one shot, one kill policy is for mature policemen. Policemen who have experience in making proper judgment and making the proper decision. Not for indisciplined officers that has no discipline at all. Not for officers who don't seem to understand what are the real role and function. Not for officers who does not understand what's the purpose of that uniform and what it represents. So Commissioner Gary Griffith, I think you need to revisit that policy, and that policy should not be for all your police officers. It should not be. Because this is giving them a green light to do exactly what they did to Allan Mohammed. because it's very easy for them to say that they were shot at or a gun was pointed at them. Another case in point, the young man who was murdered on the highway. The video footage shows clearly where the gun was carried by a police officer to plant it on this individual. And if you hear gunshots ringing out in that video, it was coming from one direction. It was not coming from two directions, as it was reported by the police. So all these things bring to question the legitimacy of these reports given by the police. And probably, Commissioner Gary, with all due respect again to you, they're probably taking you for a fool and thinking that you are going to be gullible and accept and eat everything that they give you. So I am calling on you, Commissioner Gary Griffith, not to suspend, but to dismiss with immediate effect these individuals, Sergeant Jordan and his accomplices. I am calling on the dismissal of Sergeant Jordan and his accomplices immediately, with immediate effect. Because this investigation is going to see him behind bars. This investigation is going to see him behind bars. Because nothing was done according to police procedure. Nothing was done according to police procedure. So we are questioning the real owner of that gun. And don't feel I don't know who the owner is, who was the owner of that gun, and how it came to be in the possession of the police. Because there's a lot of things that is going on in the Chaguanas Police Station that needs to be looked into and needs to be addressed. There are instances where the men are arrested, brought to the police station, and they're asked to bring in guns in exchange for their freedom. Guns for freedom. And I have evidence of this. I have evidence of this. There is also the instance where persons who have been taken before the court, granted bail, and their condition is to go to the police station to sign their books in a registry. And that also is recorded in a registry in the police station called the supervisory or registry or something like that, I think it is called. There are discrepancies as regards to those signing of those books or those registries. Because it is clear from the records in the police station, and it has been going on for quite some time, that police officers who are not on duty, their signatures have been seen on that same particular day in the registry. So what do you think is perhaps happening there? They're going to the drug blocks and meeting the individuals on the streets and at their homes and signing their books and collecting bribe money to do so. And this has been going on for quite some time. And a particular WPC is right now under investigation for that very said thing. But she is not culpable of it. A senior officer gave her the instruction to do it. Now the same WPC had taken the TTPS, the Commissioner of Police, that's before Gary Griffith came in, to court for the wearing of the hijab in the police service. And a little more than a year ago, a senior police officer had a conversation with her and threatened her in that conversation to set her up and to get rid of her if she does not drop that case. So what we're seeing happening today is an attempt by certain individuals in that police station to do exactly that, to set her up and to get rid of her. And she has to be ever so careful. A report was made to the Police Complaints Authority, and they're looking into the matter right now. And I think also the Standards Bureau is doing some investigation as regards to that. However, if the Standards Bureau do the investigation properly, they will see the discrepancies in those records lodged at the police station. And they're going to see where officers have been signing and not working at that particular day. So everybody going to be locked up. Everybody in Chaguanas Police Station will be locked up, not just the WPC. Also, on another particular occasion, a senior police officer went with her to a location in Chaguanas, visited a man in the garage, had a conversation with him, and from her account, there was no hostility in that conversation. And the police officer, the senior officer, came to her and said he's going to have to seize a vehicle from that garage, and she will have to commandeer the police vehicle, and he would follow from behind. So she did as she was told. She's a SRP, she's not a regular police. So while she was driving, he indicated her to stop or to pull into a side street. When she did that, she saw another gentleman whom she don't know came and took over the commandeering of that vehicle which was seized, and the officer, the senior officer, came and took over the driving of the police vehicle. And he told her that that is the true owner of the vehicle, and he would follow them to the police station. My question is that proper police procedure? That raises a serious red flag. I mean, that is not how things are done. Police seize a vehicle, immediately they call the owner of the vehicle, the owner takes control of the vehicle and they drive down to the station. You know that something is not right there. All right. And when they got to the police station, that was the last the WPC saw of that vehicle, and she was later accused of stealing the vehicle and converting the vehicle to liquid cash, and that also is the subject of an investigation as we speak. So it is clear to see that based on the recording or conversation that she had with that particular senior police officer who threatened her, mind you, she did make a report about that conversation where she was threatened. There is a report lodged at the Chaguanas Police Station. So it brings to question the activities of that particular police station and what actually goes on there. And again, I'm calling Commissioner Gary Griffith to come in and take a hands-on approach in dealing with this issue. Because, like I said, these rogue elements within the TTPS is embarrassing you and shaming you. That's what they're doing. They're making it appear as though you have not the capacity to deal with crime nor manage the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. And that is very sad, because if you can recall, I was the first one to endorse you publicly for that position of Commissioner of Police. And I did that because I saw in you the qualities and the ability to do a good job. And you have been doing a good job, despite the negatives that continue to plague your administration. So again, reiterating my call, I am calling for the immediate dismissal of Sergeant Jordan and his accomplices. And if you could recall, sometime last year, I had published a video of Sergeant Jordan after causing some men to lie on the floor, on the ground. He proceeded to jump on one of the men as though it was a trampoline. The video showed it very clearly what he was doing. This is the character of the man we're talking about. This is the attitude of this particular police officer. How could this man be allowed to wear the uniform of the Trinidad and Tobago police? How this man could be allowed to continue to roam the streets under the guise of a police officer? He needs to go immediately, because he is going to bring shame to this organization. And there are many others like him. Many others like him. So, coming back to this issue of the cold-blooded murder of Allan Mohammed, I am asking Ian Allen, the host of Crime Watch, to tell us, help us to recognize, or help us to identify the gun that the police planted on Allan Mohammed, and also help us to understand this allegation of the $2 million paid to Sergeant Jordan, which was subsequently distributed to 30 police officers to do a particular job of killing these young men. And there was an incident that took place after this young man was killed. A text message was sent to a particular individual, from one individual to another individual, indicating that the process has started. One man is already dead. I'm asking the Commissioner of Police to look into that matter. I am willing to provide names of the individuals that I speak of, so that the police would proceed to get the proper relevant information, seize relevant items, and do their proper checks and balances so that they could arrive at this, to explain what I have just spoken about. It's a sad day indeed in this country. This young man has a child, 9 months old, and a wife. Today, the child wanted to interact with the deceased, and the mother was heard telling the child, "He cannot hold you no more." That made tears come to my eyes. How is this child going to grow up? Is he going to grow up with love in his heart for the police? Or is he going to grow up with hate? What exactly the police does when they commit actions like this? Do they help solve a problem that we have? Or do they help create a bigger one? Mind you, there are instances where the police are legitimately attacked and they respond in like manner and persons die. I have no problem with that. Police come on a scene and they you know, um, intervene in an ongoing robbery, and they're fired at, they fire back shots and so on, and persons die and what have you and so on. I have no problem with that. What I have a problem with is when it is you unlawfully kill someone and plant a gun to make it appear as though those persons were a threat to you. That's what I have a problem with. And that's why Commissioner Guy Griffith, again, needs to revisit that policy. Because that policy is not for rogue officers. And you do agree that there are rogue officers in your organization. Because you said it. Policemen who are part and parcel of that prostitution ring or slave trade, they're going to feel the full brunt of the law. So you accept and you recognize that there are rogue officers in the police service. So how could you be comfortable with your one-shot, one-kill policy, knowing fully well these rogue officers, what they're going to do, and justify their crimes? Justify their crimes. Listen what they said. Officers responded in accordance with the use of force policy. Force policy, very nicely put. Very intelligently worded. So this is the scenario, this is the truth as it relates to the murder, cold-blooded murder of our dear brother Allan Mohammed. May God Almighty rest his soul, and may he have mercy and open doors for his wife and kin, so that they would grow up in a manner that's conducive to positive growth and development and so on. I ask that if it is I was wrong in what I said, if I made any errors, I ask God Almighty to forgive me. If I said things about persons that is actually untrue, I ask you to forgive me. And I will try to correct it and make a public announcement on it if in fact I was wrong. But I don't make a statement if I'm not sure about what it is I'm saying. I don't ever mention anything that I don't have evidence for and proof for. So let us be mindful of our roles and responsibility as human beings. And most important, calling people to account for their actions and demanding justice and fairness. Thank you.